Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Mark's House of Cars. I've got a brand new YouTube channel I'm doing here aside from my real estate channel. And one of my first full-length videos is this Esprit, a 1998 Lotus Esprit V8 twin turbo. It's got the optional OZ Futura wheels. It's a Azure blue with snow corn interior. Awesome car, amazing car, very fast, twin turbo V8 that Lotus had to detune because the Renault transmission was too weak to handle the power. But this one, I think, has been modified a little bit by the owner I got it from, and it's a little faster than the 350 horsepower that it came out of the factory with from Lotus. So we'll show some driving, acceleration, a couple shots, and then I've got a new camera, so I'll be doing a lot more shots of all my cars here coming up soon, including the Diablo, Countach, the 928, the Mustang, the Supras, Aston Martin. We'll have a lot of cool stuff coming up. So let's take a look at what it's like to drive the Esprit. Alright, so we'll start up the Esprit, see what it sounds like. Definitely an aftermarket exhaust, different mufflers, different tips that were welded on, not done amazingly well. But it sounds pretty good, definitely a different tone than the Diablo. But it's loud. Smaller V8 sound to it. Okay, we'll start the Diablo here and see what it sounds like. Definitely a different tone. Take the car for a little drive. It pulls really hard. Just those turbos are so much fun. The first time I drove it, I did not expect it to feel as fast as it is. And gear just has no problem revving up. You can hear the turbo spooling up behind you. It's such a cool feeling. You can hear the engine, but it's not crazy loud. There's a crazy storm coming, so we won't spend too much time driving, but it's just so much fun. I really need to drive a V8 twin turbo that hasn't been modified to see the difference, but yeah, this car's a blast. It took me a little while to get used to the transmission. It's kind of hard figuring out the gears, but once I drove it a few times, I got it. Not a big deal. And you know, I said they decreased the horsepower so you don't break the transmission, but that doesn't mean you're going to break the transmission when you increase the horsepower. They just wanted to make sure people weren't racing it, you know, just abusing the car and then have a bunch of warranty claims. You can up the power, still be pretty safe with the transmission if you're careful. So, it feels faster than the Diablo for sure. I have not raced them next to each other. My sister and I did a little bit, kind of with me in front, her behind. She had no problem keeping up with the Diablo. But really the Diablo is meant for speeds over 100. It goes up to 60 in first gear, where this car goes to, you know, almost 40. So this is a completely different car. I think it would definitely out-accelerate the Diablo up to 100. At that point, the Diablo may, with its big V12, take over. But someday we'll try that out and see what happens. But it's a fun car. It's been pretty easy to maintain, no major problems or anything. And that's what I've heard. You know, some people have horror stories, but with a car like this, you have to maintain it. You have to spend the money on the engine services, on, you know, routine maintenance, or they'll fall apart. And the same with the Lamborghini. And this one's been maintained well. It's got 30,000 miles. Almost a 20-year-old car, but it's handles awesome, drives amazing, comfortable. The AC works great in this freezing cold. Just a wonderful car, and it's a blast to drive. And like I said, my sister with the R8 V10 Plus decided she wanted to drive this car instead of her R8 to the car show. She had her husband drive the R8 because it was so much fun to drive. And she thought I was crazy for buying this car. I spent $38,000 on this car, which, if you ask me, is one of the biggest bargains out there in the market. And she thought it was ugly from pictures and not that cool. And then she saw it in person and she drove it, and she's like, okay, I was wrong. This is a really awesome looking car. So that's the Esprit driving. I've got a new 360 camera. I'll be doing many more videos of the Esprit, my Countach, my Diablo, Aston Martin, Porsche, Subarus, Mustang, all that coming up soon. So stick around. We'll have some really cool stuff coming up.